going on, everyone? John Matrix here. Hope you're all having yourselves a wonderful day wherever you're at and whenever you're watching this. We're going to be jumping into some 40k goodness here today. We're going to be checking out The End and the Death 3 Emperor Confronts Horus voiceover part 1 by DQVO. This video is requested by one of my YouTube members, so looking forward to jumping in and seeing what this one's all about. Links, as always, will be down below in the description to the original channel and to the original video. So please do me a favor, if you enjoy the videos we go through it, please go down, click the link, go over and give it a like. Check out DQVO's channel, check out his content. If you enjoy his content, please be sure to show the man some love. Hit that sub button on their channel. And yeah, consider leaving a like and a sub on my channel as well if you enjoy the video here with my commentary and reaction. If you would like to take your support to the next level, there is also a join button underneath the video, as well as a link in the description to the members, benefits, tiers, etc. that I have to offer. So yeah, take a look at that. Like I said, if you want to take your support to the next level. But yeah, with all that said, we're gonna jump into this. Again, this is End of the Death 3 Emperor Confronts Horus voiceover part 1 by DQVO. On and on, I'll volume up. Let's go.
You have imagined this moment. You have savored the prospect with an almost greedy anticipation. Now it's finally here. So where, then, is your father's wrath? Where is his horror? Where is his anything? You expected the chastising fury of an enraged patriarch, or the anguished pleading of a heartbroken parent. But he just stands there, staring at you. Your glory is something to behold. You haven't seen him for a long time. You've changed. You've grown. You're not the child he remembers. Maybe he needs a moment to accept that. He's changed, too. He seems small, a shadow of his former self. In truth, you were secretly afraid of this reunion. The father you remember was a huge and terrible force of majesty. His presence always overwhelmed you.
It's an interesting start to this. You know, it seems to be Horus kind of going over, like, talking to himself, you know, in his mind, just like wondering why the Emperor isn't acting out against him, why he isn't doing more. Interesting. It's almost kind of like he's trying to, like, reason with himself, or almost kind of justify in a way his actions for being here and confronting him, you know? Because obviously it seems like he was afraid of him at one point in time, and now he's trying to almost kind of like hype himself up, like, oh, I remember him being bigger, and, you know, now he just looks smaller and a shadow of his former self. Interesting.
At his side long ago, during those 30 perfect years, you always felt safe and scared in equal measure. He was everything. You adored him with every fiber of your being. You flinched every time he spoke a word. But look at him. Look at him. Oh, he still appears impressive. The golden armor glinting in its own sunlight. The mantle about his shoulders like a cloak of silks cut from the finest damask nightfall and the richest royal blood. The stature, the serenity, the long and gleaming black hair, the noble haloed face, the crown of radiance that rests upon him, the imperial aspect. But he does seem small. It's the natural way of things, you presume. To a child, a father seems an infallible, perfect giant. But the child grows up. He begins to notice the flaws and imperfections.
It's interesting too how, like, he's like, I don't want to put this, right? Like, he's kind of referring himself before he was, like, I guess his eyes were opened by chaos, right? To the truth that he thinks, you know, he sees now. How, you know, he was a child before and naive and, you know, always wanted, he wanted to really to, like, please the emperor. Cause that's like one of the real reasons why he got corrupted, right? Was like, he was always trying to measure up to the, you know, the emperor, and not wanting to make mistakes, wanting everything to be perfect, you know, et cetera, from what I remember of the first book in the Horus Heresy series. It's the only one I've finished so far. But so yeah, it's interesting hearing him kind of almost like refer to himself as like, you know, yeah, I was a child, I was naive the way I looked at him, you know, like any child, their father seems to be this great pillar of strength and yada yada, but now that I look at him, he's, you know, just a man kind of a thing. That seems to be where he's going with this.
The child matures and the father grows ever smaller and more frail. You wonder that you were ever cowed by him. You have outgrown him. This is what you were afraid of. This, a man in antique armor, comes to remonstrate with you and exert his authority. He still thinks he can subdue you with the merest look or utterance. Not anymore. You realize you have always been afraid of what you thought he was, not what he actually is.
Mm-hmm.
You hope his silence indicates that he has reached a...
And that's funny how he says that, right? Because he doesn't actually really know what the Emperor is. I don't think anyone, other than maybe Malkador, has actually seen the full scope of the Emperor's power, right? I mean, I don't know, right? Because he obviously fought with the Emperor in Olenor against, you know, the great Orc Wa there, with one of the greatest victories the Imperium's had. But did the Emperor really go out and really, like, use his full power? Has he ever really, like, truly displayed fully what he's capable of? You know, especially in front of his Primarchs. So I don't know. It's again one of those things where it's like he's talking himself up here, trying to say that, you know, the image of the Emperor he had in his mind, it was just this false thing, and he's not really, the Emperor doesn't really live up to the idea that he had. You know, he was afraid of an ideal kind of a thing, but the truth is something smaller. You know,
similar conclusion. It is time for him to be afraid of you.
Right.
Perhaps he's choosing his words carefully.
You have killed my son.
So now he speaks. It was clearly...
See, and that in and of itself is something interesting from the Emperor too, right? Like, is the Emperor talking to Horus and saying, you've killed my son, as in, you know, he killed Sanguinius, right? Or is he talking to the demons, you know, chaos, etc., the chaos gods that have, like, infested him? Is he talking to them saying, you've killed Horus, you know, you've killed my son?
The shock that rendered him dumb. Yes, Father, I have. I have nothing to hide. The body is there for all to see. Consider it a statement of my intent. You feel a pang of regret. If Sanguinius had not been quite so defiant, if he had not been quite so sanguinious, well, then this moment would have been more satisfying.
I offered him a place beside me,
you say, with a note of sadness that is quite authentic.
I didn't want to kill him. He could have stood at my side, just as you can stand at my side. But he refused, to my regret. His refusal made his death necessary. It was my only recourse. I know you understand, Father. You are an entirely rational man. I inherited my rationality from you. Poor Sanguinius. His execution was the only rational. You have killed my son.
What is this? Is his trauma so deep that he can do nothing but repeat himself? Why is he not listening?
I offered him a position of power in the New Order.
You say, with less compassion. Your father is beginning to aggravate you. You gesture proudly at the 5 waiting thrones.
He could have sat at the right hand of the Incarnate,
You say.
He did not see the way of it. He did not appreciate the fundamental state change of the cosmos. There is me, or there is nothing. He chose to align himself with nothing, and death was the consequence. I hope it's not a mistake you will replicate, Father. Again, I cite the fact that you are a supremely rational man. Grasp your lack of choice in this situation. Accept my offer, which I extend with a full heart. I am the master of mankind now, Father. I would gladly have you stand at my right hand so we can shape the future together. Nothing would make me happier. We will be as we were all those years ago, side by side. But this time I can lift the bulk of that burden from you and spare you the toil, so that you may take ease and rest as your reward for a long life of service to humanity. You need do nothing more than sit upon a throne.
My King of Ages will not accede to your demands, or accept any offer to surrender. What is this now? Who dares? There, he has brought others with him. You spot them now. So insignificant you barely notice them. If your father seems small, they seem like ants. Where are your hosts, Father? Where are your proud armies and conquering legions? You come here with what? 2 Astartes space marines and a single custodian. Is that the best you could muster? Is that all that survived? Now, Father, how are the mighty fallen? The Custodes Sentinel is the one who spoke. He has stepped forward, still smeared in Sanguinius's blood, while one of the Astartes struggles to set down the angel's corpse and the other cowers beside your father. Non-entities. They have no place here. My King of Ages demands your immediate surrender. The damn custodian is becoming impertinent. He's a pre-consul from his armor. They were always so aloof and autocratic. You seize his name, it's floating in his surface thoughts. Kekalta's Dusk, a proud Heteron. He has no business addressing you. This isn't the throne room. This is your court.
Be silent,
You tell him.
My father and I have business to discuss. Why?
What a strange question. What is it that your father doesn't understand?
You ask me why?
You say.
Why what? Why? I think you have suffered too great a shock, Father.
You say gently.
You are not making sense. What are you asking me? Why did I kill the angel? Or why do I offer why?
Oh, yes. You see it now. Just like the old days, those 30 years of learning. His shorthand. Learning to read his gnomic comments. 30 years of him expecting you to fill in the gaps and comprehend everything intended by an inscrutable remark. 30 years of being afraid to get it wrong. He means why in the most fundamental sense.
Why are we at war?
You ask. Of all those millennia taught him nothing. Or does he just want to hear you say it? Does he want to flex his authority and make you say it? Well, appease him. He deserves some consideration.
Father, you know why.
You say.
Something, perhaps some timidity made you stop short of binding the forces of chaos. You could have harnessed chaos, but you merely aggravated it. You could have claimed ultimate power for the good of mankind, but you did.
I do wonder, right? Like, I was looking for kind of a place to pause there through this, but I don't want to go like too far ahead of this. So like him asking why, that's like something where it definitely could be a question on multiple levels, right? Like, is he asking Horus? Is he speaking directly to Horus, or is he speaking to the chaos, the demons in him, you know, the chaos gods that are in him, right? You know? And then the question of why is like, is he asking Horus why he gave in? Is he talking to, again, the chaos, you know, gods, demons, whatever, and asking why they have corrupted his son, or why they've killed him, you know? Because again, from what I understand, you know, at some point in time, the Emperor kind of made a bit of a deal with the Chaos Gods to learn how to, you know, imbue or take demons and, you know, I guess meld their essence with humans, which is how the Primarchs are, you know, so powerful. You know, above like the Custodies, because like the Custodies are basically kind of like genetic engineering at its most finest, and then the only way to make that better, to take it to the next level, would be to imbue like warp essence, chaos essence, you know, demon souls, whatever, into the Primarchs. Kind of honestly reminds me of like the story of, you know, the new lore in the more modern Doom games, where the Doom Slayer is essentially enhanced with hell energy and is basically turned into a god, you know, because of it. So kind of reminds me of that in certain ways. I wonder, it makes me wonder if there is any kind of like inspiration from 40k with that. But anyway, that's the whole other tangent. So, but yeah, it's interesting, the question of why, because it does have potentially multiple meanings, I guess.
Did not. So I have. I have done what you could or would not do. I have bound the powers of the warp, and I will lead humanity where you could not lead it, to a new and endless age of supremacy. I think it's time you accepted my offer. I think it's time you acknowledged my triumph. Kneel, Father. Please, and I will spare you. Then this will all be over.
No man who has ever lived can master chaos. Again, the upstart pre-consul, presuming to speak for his king.
It's also, you know, quite the egotistical statement of, you know, asking him to kneel, especially when he's killed his brothers, you know, the Emperor's sons. Several of them have died because of his actions. And then, of course, Sanguinius right in front of him, who a lot of them consider to be the best of the Primarchs, you know. But again, that's... I'm sure Horus doesn't obviously see it that way.
Told you to be silent,
you say. You believe the Emperor weak not to have followed this course. Timid, you say. Now it's one of the Astartes. He steps forward, the angel's blood wet on his hands.
Know your place.
It's supposed to be one of the Luna Wolves.
Bark at him.
Wonder who it is.
This was my place, he replies. Oh. How a heart might break when a father sees his son again. After all this time, a son so changed. It is Garviel. It is poor Garviel, who was once your favorite. You swallow. You did not expect this. You wish he didn't have to see you like this, or witness this moment. You could have embraced poor Loken to your bosom later, when all this was over. Or perhaps it would have been better that he died long since and had never come here.
Garviel,
you murmur. You have deluded yourself, great Lupercal. Loken says to you, you are the servant of chaos, not its master.
What would you know of this, Garviel?
You ask, stung by his words. Everything now, Father, he replies. This moment is spoiled. You didn't want Loken here. Your heart aches for a father to see his son again after all this time.
It's interesting too that like Horus is, the words here Horus is thinking to himself is he didn't want Loken to see him this way. So there's still a part of Horus that like understands that he's given into something that he shouldn't have, right? There's still a part of him that like sees what he has become. What are the words I'm looking for? Is almost kind of like a coward's way out. You know what I'm saying? Like taking the easy route. I guess the best way that I can kind of compare it is, with Obi-Wan and Anakin talking to each other, and how, the dark side is the quicker side to greater power. It's the easier way, essentially, to get power quicker, but at a cost, And so that's kind of, I guess, the best way to compare it here. And it seems like, Horus is kind of acknowledging that and not wanting to have his Luna Wolves see him in this state, I find that interesting.
And hear him speak such words, and they think you're the monster. You, with tears on your face at the sight of your favorite child, and your father, your damn father, still impassive and without effect despite the ruined corpse of his favored son on the deck at his heels. Please relent, Loken says to you. Now, before it is too late. You are deluded. You try to ignore him. Your father has clearly recruited him and brought him here to prey upon your emotions and get you to lower your guard. A cheap trick. And look at him, your father, showing absolutely no emotion of his own. Speak, you hiss.
Speak, Father. Say something. Say something relevant. Say something that actually matters. Tell me you're sorry for withholding the truth from us. Tell me you're sorry for causing this war. Say something. Show me something. Kneel. At least you can do that. Kneel and submit. Why?
You're going to have to kill him. You suspected you might have to. You thought you'd be sorry if it came to it, but you're not sorry. Not at all. He hasn't changed. If anything, he's worse. Just staring at you with those expressionless eyes. No. Not at you. He's not staring at you. This whole time, he hasn't been looking at you at all. And nothing he's said since he's walked into your court has been directed at you either. It's as if you're not even there. He's looking past you. He's looking into the shadows behind you. You turn to see what's so damn fascinating that he can't take his eyes off it long enough to pay you the respect that is due. And there they are. Of course.
Mm-hmm.
You knew they were there. You just didn't know anybody else could see them. Lurking there in the shadows, in the psychofractal darkness that simmers behind you.
Yep.
The old four. All of them. You've never seen them so close. You've never seen them manifest so completely. They are huge, so beautiful. They've come to witness this moment. Your father has been talking to them, watching them. When he said, "You have killed my son," the fool hadn't meant sanguineous. He had been talking to them about you.
Yep.
He considers you dead. Dead and lost. He's not interested in you at all. Well, father, you should be. You raise your right hand, the claws drawn together. You hear Garviel and the arrogant pre-consul cry out a warning. Your father will feel the true nature of your power. Then let them tell you that you are deluded. You let the power loose. You strike your father down.
Damn. Damn.
Greetings, one and all. If you enjoyed that, you can support me on my Patreon, Discord, Redbubble, or with a channel membership. Or simply like, comment, and subscribe to catch any future DQVO videos. And as always, my thanks for watching.
So yeah, there we go. There we go. That was the end of Death 3, Emperor Confronts Horus. Voiceover Part 1 by DQVO. And I mean, yeah, it's pretty much what I figured, right? I pretty much thought the Emperor wasn't even talking to Horus really at all. He was talking straight to the Chaos Gods who've just been using Horus this whole time. Like that's really what it is. Like all of this was them using Horus to get back at the Emperor, really, I think, for again kind of breaking his word, you know, for the bargain, whatever the bargain was they made. I don't know exactly what it is or what it was. I haven't really gotten that far, that deep into the reading and stuff like that. But again, to my understanding, when the Emperor was making the Primarchs, you know, the genetic engineering could only go so far, but in order to take them to the next step, he needed to infuse them with warp essence, demon souls, whatever. And so he kind of, I guess, talked to the Chaos Gods and made a deal with them. And then I guess he kind of, you know, went back on his end of the deal, which is why the Primarchs got scattered, you know, and he wasn't able to necessarily, he and Malkador weren't able to raise them from birth the way they intended. And, you know, it led to kind of where we are, kind of a situation. Here, right, the Emperor is talking to Chaos all the time. To him, he's almost non-entity now, a puppet. Yeah. And that's exactly what yeah, he was a puppet this whole time. Like everything that really happened, you know, from essentially like Erebus, you know, everything starts really with Erebus, kind of turning Lorgar and the word bearers, and then Erebus, you know, kind of gaining the trust of the Luna Wolves and Horus. And, you know, it all really comes down to Erebus and Chaos kind of getting their claws into him and then into Horus, and it kind of, you know, just went from there. So it's all just been, you know, kind of their way of getting back at the Emperor for, I guess, potentially breaking their bargain. But I mean, you know, the Emperor's always viewed the Chaos Gods as like the greatest threat and enemy to humanity, so he's always had a plan of some sort to deal with them. Like my theory has been that, you know, when people die, their souls go into the warp and are essentially, you know, fodder for whatever denizens of the warp are there, you know. There's really no kind of peaceful afterlife to my understanding. Like, you know, your soul goes into the warp and whatever demon or other creature of the warp, you just become kind of food for them. So my theory has always kind of been that like the Emperor wants to kind of carve out some kind of essentially like afterlife or heaven in the warp for humanity, like a safe haven for human souls to go to and have some kind of peaceful afterlife, so that they're not just food for or playthings for the Chaos Gods. Essentially, that's my theory anyway. And I mean, you know, who knows really what's going on with the Emperor, and you know, with him gaining more power on the spiritual side of things, right? You know, he's being fed, you know, thousands of psychers daily, and on top of that, the fact that there's trillions upon, you know, however many trillions of humans in the Imperium who have all basically been indoctrinated and forced to worship the Emperor as a god. So, you know, very well could be that he's going to be reborn in a Slanesh type fashion, whether he wants to or not. And who knows what that's going to do and what that's going to look like, you know. But it definitely seems like Games Workshop is now starting to, you know, move the timeline forward with the Primarchs coming back. You know, I guess probably the next big event that would happen in the 40k universe is when Lionel Johnson and Gilliman actually meet back up together, and what's going to happen between them and what that's going to look like. And then, you know, if they are going to start bringing more Primarchs back, who's next? You know, I've read a couple things that people theorize that Dorn is going to be the next one that comes back. Who knows? And then as each of the Primarchs come back, they seem to be getting, you know, different gear from the Emperor, essentially. You know, Gilliman has the Emperor's sword. Johnson has his shield, or a piece of his armor that has been made into a shield, kind of a situation. So who knows what's really gonna happen with this stuff. But yeah, it's interesting again how this whole conversation, you know, Horus is kind of, it's like hubris. It's his ego. It's, you know, he's trying to sit there and think he's hyping himself up. You know, it starts off with him saying, you know, he used to be scared of the Emperor. The Emperor used to be, you know, this great pillar, this man, you know, of greatness. He was my father, and, you know, I was always trying to live up to his expectations, kind of thing. And now he just looks small. You know, he's this small thing, and, you know, he's talking to him, telling the Emperor to kneel, and you can be at my side, and, you know, I will reshape, you know, humanity, and you can just sit on the throne and not worry about it. And the whole time, the Emperor's not even paying attention to him. The whole time, the Emperor is looking through him at the Chaos Gods, you know, and talking to him, and, you know, saying, "You've killed my son. You've killed Horus. Why?" You know, and that, you know, ends with Horus becoming enraged and attacking the Emperor. So it's wild that the Lion has been back from his tears and barreling was done with him, besides the Arcs of the Omen thing. Yeah, which is something I still need to get more into. I still have just a long way of stuff to do, man. I have so many books and things to read and catch up on, you know, which I definitely want to start doing. I want to go back through book 1 of the Horus Heresy, I'm gonna start making some videos of like chapter reviews, and make some content for that, and then do a book review, and rate it on a scale of 1 to 10 what I would give it, and what I recommend it, what I not, all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna start looking at doing that and making content that way on the channel as well. So if anyone's out there that would be interested in that, stay tuned to the channel for some of that stuff. So but yeah, that's gonna do it for this one, guys. Great video by DQVO. Great voiceover work as always. Links will be down below in the description to his channel and to the original video of his. So please do me a favor, if you enjoyed this, go click those links down below, go to his channel, give this video of his a like, check out the content on his channel. If you enjoy more of the voiceover stuff that he does, hit that sub button on his channel. Like I said, he's got a Patreon, he's got a Discord. If you want to take your support for his channel to the next level, check out all that stuff and see what he has to offer. If you enjoy this video of mine with my commentary and reaction to it, consider leaving a like and a sub on my channel here, as it helps me and the channel grow, and it lets the YouTube algorithm gods know that you enjoy this kind of content and you would like to see some more. There is a join button underneath my video down in the description as well, to the YouTube membership benefits that I have to offer. You can get early access videos, priority any kind of reaction requests that you would like me to do, Discord sub channels, etc, etc. So if you would like to take your support from my channel to the next level, check out all that kind of stuff and see what we have to offer. With all that said, thank you guys very much. Appreciate you coming in. If you're still watching here to the very end, thank you very much for watching the video all the way through. Greatly appreciate you. And yeah, we'll see you guys on the next one. Hope you're having yourselves a wonderful day. Talk to you later.